This is the official EFL Podcast.
Hello again and welcome to the official EFL Podcast, previewing and reviewing the best of the match action across the EFL and its competitions. On this edition of the show, we'll be focusing on the final week of the regular season across all three divisions with Sky Sports EFL pundits Andy Hinchcliffe and Don Goodman. Firstly, though, we're reflecting on three promotions which happened midweek, starting in Merseyside. At the start of the season, Bury were rank outsiders to achieve promotion to League One. A point against Tranmere on Tuesday night saw them bounce back at the first attempt. 21 league goals from star striker Nicky Maynard have helped secure that top three finish.
Honestly, I've been lucky enough to have a couple of promotions, but this has been a more enjoyable one because I felt like I played a massive part in it. But as I say, the lads have been great. It's been a great dressing room. And obviously with the off-the-field problems, we've put that behind us and we've showed what a great team we are. Yeah, it ranks up there, obviously. Promotion as a footballer, obviously you've got to play at the highest level, but at the end of the day, whatever league you're playing in, the aim is to get promoted, and it ranks up there with one of the best.
Yes! Captain Nicky Adams couldn't have been prouder of his team's achievement.
It's unbelievable. There's nothing much more to say, really. I'm just so happy for myself, all my teammates, the gaffer, everyone here, the fans. You know, everyone deserves it, and it's just special moments like this. You never forget them.
Ryan Lowe! The feat sees Ryan Lowe become the first person in the Shakers' history to achieve promotion as a player and a manager, an achievement which saw him crowned League Two Manager of the season.
It obviously means the world, it means a lot. Tough at the moment because of emotional wreck, but you know, I think it'll sink in eventually. So listen, fair play every single one of the players, credit to the staff, the players, unbelievable.
Yes, what an achievement from Ryan Lowe's Bury. Well, after Portsmouth and Sunderland dropped points in midweek, without even kicking a ball, both Barnsley and Luton secured their promotion to the Sky Bet Championship. Let's hear from both managers about that achievement. First, here's Daniel Stendel.
Well, Daniel, what does it mean to you to lead Barnsley to promotion this season?
Yeah, it's a big success for me as a manager that we can do it in 1 year. In Barnsley, we changed the opinion, we changed the style, and we improved every time. And I think we deserved the automatic promotion after this year, and we come back to a championship. That was our big goal, and I'm very happy.
Did you think that you would be able to turn this team around quite as quickly as you have done?
I hope so, but it's not sure that we changed so much so fast, but the player make me very easy to do it, and also the club. I can feel the trust in my work and in my team. Thank on all my staff. They worked very well this season and very hard for this goal. And I'm very happy. I enjoy it, and I think in the next day we celebrated more.
Well, speaking of those celebrations, we've all seen some of them. How big a night was it last night in the middle of Barnsley?
Yeah, it was a great night. Yeah, we celebrated. It's normal. Really, I not expected this yesterday. I told the player in the morning, I think we need to win on Saturday. This is in our hand. That what we can do, and that both teams struggled yesterday in the evening or in the night. I not expected, but it's a nice feeling when I watched on my phone and can see, okay, we promoted, and a lot of text messages, calls, and we all celebrated together, and this is a good feeling.
So was it your idea then on full time in the matches, right, everybody who can out, let's go out this evening?
Yeah. I not planned things. I watched the Champions League game, and with my old coach assistant Andreas, he came to me and we watched the game. And off the other side, I have my phone in my hand and I watched the score in Portsmouth and in Fleetwood. And yeah, after this, okay, we meet us there. Okay, I come, and then we celebrated, and was for me easy to go. Or other people have more idea what we do, and I can only walk back, and was a great night.
How satisfying was it that you were able to celebrate? There were some Barnsley fans out and about last night, that they were able to enjoy the experience with you.
Yeah, you can feel the great feeling also by the people in Barnsley that we come back in the championship. But I feel also in the last season, every time in every game, that like what we do, and for me was every game a celebration with our supporters together. I talk a lot of times about the support, not only in the home games in Oakville, also in all away games. We have so much support. We need to promote it, not only for us, also for our town and our supporters.
Was there a point during the season where you thought, you know what, we can sustain being at the top of the table, we've got this? Yeah,
I think the week then we have the 3 games. We have suspended Brown and McGee, and Kiefer Moore was injured, and we played against Sunderland well, Doncaster well, and then also in Portsmouth we can play a draw, and I think then we have the feeling. But after we lose the game in Burton, I think it's very difficult to achieve our goal after 46 games, and but the series from the last four victories in a row was the first time in the season for us. Unbelievable, and was in the right moment, and I think especially the last home game against Blackpool, the pressure was very high. We concentrated to the game, but also we in our head was every time the game in Sunderland, and we 1-0 back, and that the team so improved in this moment. You can see we want to win. We control the game more. We have chances. We created chances, and also the first time in this year scored a centre back after the corner. Came all together in this day, and then I have a good feeling.
Barnsley still may well win the title. What would that mean to you should you beat Luton to it at the weekend?
Yeah, I think it's not really in our hand. 4 goals in front, Luton, but when we can do it, we want it. We give all. We want to win this game on Saturday, and then we will see how played Luton, and when we can win the title, it's the top of the cake. I don't know.
Just finally, the fact that Barnsley will be a championship football team next season, does that make it easier for you to try and keep the players you want to keep when you're talking to out-of-contract players in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think it's championship is more interesting than League One, but we can see this season that it's not so easy to promote it from League One to Championship, and I hope the big part from our team stay in Barnsley. I think we start away last season, and it's not over at the moment.
Have you had conversations with the board about budgets? Because there's always been a chance you might be in the Championship next season. Have you had those chats?
I think every team which played in the Championship has a chance, and we want to do all what we can do. The board and we as a team, and also the club, and I hope and I think we have a good team to stay in the Championship next year.
Daniel Stendel talking there. Now let's hear from Luton interim boss. What an achievement it was for him and for his team, Mick Harford.
Mick, obviously, congratulations first of all. Fantastic achievement, what you've done here and what the club have done.
It's amazing. It's monumental for the club, for the town, for everyone, for the players, for the staff. It's just a magnificent achievement. I mean, if you look at it in terms of in the last 2 seasons, 2 promotions back to back, it's colossal, yeah.
And for you, you bow out a hero. That's what you wanted all along.
Well, I didn't want it all along, but what I wanted was the players to be successful. I wanted the players to enjoy the way they played and just try to manage them the way I thought best. They more than surpassed that in terms of the performances, the records they broke, the records they've made this season. It's just been a monumental season. Some of the performances been top level and all that. Really, really good performances, and thoroughly deserved from everyone at the football club, from the board downwards to everyone. And everyone, in my opinion, has made a massive contribution to get us where we are now.
Have you felt a lot of pressure in these 3 or 4 months?
Of late, I would say so. Yeah, I think part of the problem, not the problem, it was a good problem to have, as we were at the top of the league for so long. From January the 19th, we're at the top of the league, and we stayed there, and we're still there now. And it was, everyone was trying to knock us off. Everyone was trying to beat you. You are at the top of the league, and you are a target for every team in the league. And I thought the players handled that situation very well. It's an old cliche what managers and coaches say. It's very difficult to get over the line, and we've stuttered a little bit, but we eventually got there, and we amassed in a massive total, and the other teams just couldn't catch us.
Have you felt that pressure now kind of lift off you?
Well, yes, and it's a brilliant feeling. It's a brilliant feeling. We're in a brilliant position to be in. We have 1 game left, and if we win, we're champions. So it's a magnificent position we're in at the moment.
Is it going to be nice to go back to the day job and just do your recruitment stuff?
It will be, yeah. It's I mean, I really understand now why managers get paid the most money. Absolutely, in terms of what they have to go through on a daily basis. I mean, things get thrown at you from all kinds of angles. Problems, sometimes nice problems, but it's a real tough job, and I know how hard to be manager is again now.
Won't a little part of you miss it next season?
The biggest part I'll miss is obviously match days. I love match days. I love being around the players. I love being in and around them. The buzz, the atmosphere. Obviously, especially at Kenilworth Road on those Tuesday nights, I'll miss those. That Pompey game was something special in my opinion. And yes, there will be a little tinge of sadness there that I won't be involved. But I'll go back to my role and hopefully play an important part in improving the squad and the team.
You've spoken a lot in the past about redemption, and I don't think anyone blames you for what happened all those years ago. But is there a part of you that is pleased with how you've done it?
I'm pleased I was given the opportunity. The club was in a good place where we were when I took over. Obviously, we lost the manager, and it could have been a bit disruptive. Unfortunately, it worked out that it wasn't. Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled that I can say we got the team promoted to the Championship, and it's a massive achievement. Those dark days still play on my mind, I've got to be honest with you, because I have a passion and a love for the football club, and it is redemption, 100%.
What's it going to be like when you walk across that pitch at the beginning of the game, because the noise is going to be tremendous for you?
Well, I think so, and the coaching staff taking the mickey out of me. We're fed up here, and there's only one Mickey Harford and all that. There's the songs and the chants and all that now. But even thinking about it now sends a shiver down my spine. And it's, I have a real good affinity with the football fans at the Luton Town Football Club, and I know they'll get behind me. They'll get behind the team on Saturday. And also, when the incoming manager comes in, they'll give them massive support, and that's good to know from everyone at the football club.
It's been an amazing 12 years with everything that the club's been through, and it's been well documented what that's been. But just 5 years ago, the club was still in the conference. I mean, just the 5 year for what this club has achieved in 5 years is just monumental.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the interview, it's a monumental position we put ourselves in and getting back-to-back promotions. And I always say, and Gary sat next to me, I always say that the club is built from the top, and the top at the moment is exceptional. 2020, the board, Gary Sweet, they've done an amazing job to implement all these all these situations, and whoever's been in control of the football club, i.e. the manager, they've been back to the hilt. So they have got to take a lot of credit for this.
And the game itself, I mean, you'll want to win the league now, won't you? Surely you want to be champions.
One of your silly questions again.
Okay, then do you? How much do you want to be champions?
Of course we want to be champions. Of course we want to be winners, and that's why we get involved in this game, to be winners, to be successful. The players are up for it. They'll be prepared for it. We are promoted as a Barnsley, so hopefully we can get out there and be relaxed. We know it'll be a tough test because Oxford are in good form. They're a good team, that they play good football. They play a very good counter-attacking team. So again, we'll be fully prepared and ready to go. And there's a will and desire amongst the squad to finish as champions.
And the atmosphere obviously is going to be terrific, and as the pressure is lifted, should allow your players to go out and play their flowing football.
Hope so. The atmosphere will be electric. We know that. It's Kenilworth Road, and I mean the fans are very knowledgeable, very vocal, and they understand what's at stake, and 100% they'll be behind the lads. I'm absolutely certain of. And hopefully we'll get the right result, and we'll carry on those celebrations.
And back to the recruitment role. The club know which division they're going to be in next season, so how much do you have to really crack on now and prepare for the Championship?
Well, again, we give credit to Gary and the board, because we were planning as we go along. We would have been stupid not to have some plans in place for either league we were in. So now we are in the Championship, and there is plans in place to recruit the type of player who we believe will take us forward.
And then obviously you'll have to work closely with the new manager as well.
Yes, and I'd like to. I know Graham. He's a good man, honest, hard working, and hopefully build a good relationship with him and take the club where we want it to go to.
EFL fixtures in focus.
Now we're joined by Sky Sports pundits Andy Hinchcliffe and Don Goodman to look ahead to the final week of the Championship, League One and League Two seasons. Andy, starting with you and looking at the title race in the Championship, and you were at Sheffield United against Ipswich last weekend. Just how impressed have you been with the relentless attitude that Sheffield United have shown to ensure that automatic promotion?
Well, I've been impressed, but I'm not really surprised if you consider how they played in League One, how they played last season in the Championship, and how they played this season. Chris has always had that conviction to play his way, that 3-5-2 with real intensity, win, lose or draw. There was no wavering in the approach. Not going to change the formation, not going to change the personnel too much if he doesn't have to do. And I think after beating Forest, I was there for the Forest game as well. After beating Forest, they were really waiting for the opportunity. I think Leeds losing to Wigan really provided that opportunity, and they capitalised by sticking to that tried and tested plan they've had for 3 years. And if anything, they actually played with more intensity against Ipswich than I've seen in previous games. I think the crowd, the Bramall Lane crowd, certainly pushed them over the line as well. But in a really close race as we've had for those top two places, it was about being ready when the opportunity arose. And Sheffield United certainly took advantage when Leeds kind of fell away.
Yeah, Don, how important do you believe the experience of going up previously will have been for Sheffield United in this running, experience which that Leeds squad don't have, of course?
Well, yeah, I mean, they could have drawn on that. Of course, they won League One and season before last, so there's no question they could have drawn on that experience. But this, in essence, was a new experience because it was at the next level, and the prize at the end of the rainbow was for them to get into the Premier League. And you look at all the three of their results over the final 8 games, the all-important home stretch of the season. And unfortunately, while Sheffield United were losing 1 and Norwich were losing none, Leeds United were losing 4. And like Hinchy says, I think it was just about hanging in the fight and waiting until the opportunity came. And it came to Sheffield United over the Easter period. And, quite frankly, once they were the ones in that second automatic position, had their final fixtures to play, I was really in doubt about the outcome. I I watched that Ipswich game, and from the first minute, there was no doubt that Sheffield United were going to win that game and put the pressure back on Leeds. And of course, we all know what happened after that. Brentford did Leeds return, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, it's a 46-game marathon. The teams that finish in the top two positions are the ones that ultimately deserve it.
Yeah, Andy, of course, Norwich secured their promotion on Saturday night as well. What is it about them this season that has seen them being so successful?
Well, it's very similar to Sheffield United, really. It's kind of an unwavering approach to play a certain way. From day one, they had this plan to play possession-based, real attacking football. That philosophy was set down by Stuart Webber when he arrived. He kind of brought in Daniel Farke to follow that through. And they've, as a club and as a team and as a coach, they've stayed on that path. I think team selection continuity was really important as well. They had arguably the strongest bench in the Championship, but Daniel Farke stuck with what was working, and it was the right thing to do. So it's having, I think, the courage of your convictions just to stick with what you feel will work for you as a club. And you've got to remember that Norwich, speaking to Stuart Webber, they expected to finish maybe top half, maybe push for the playoffs if things went really well, and they could win the title, but deservedly win the title because their plan in the modern game has worked absolutely perfectly. But it's not getting knocked off course when things maybe don't go so well. But they've had that incredible consistency. But again, it all boils down to, it starts with Stuart Webber, goes through Daniel Farke, all the way down through the players. They knew exactly what the plan for the club was, not just as a team. And they deservedly look like they're going to win the title now.
Yeah, Don, Norwich have been on that 13-match unbeaten run. Again, they've shown that consistency which is needed, haven't they? And you've previously said on the podcast that you felt like they were up after they beat Leeds in February.
Well, I had a feeling that as long as they had the self-belief and the self-confidence, that was defined for me. I think there's a defining moment in every club season, whether you're at the top of the league or at the bottom of the league or striving to avoid relegation. There are defining moments, both positive and negative. And when I saw Norwich pretty much dismantle Leeds, who were at the time full steam ahead, throttle, beating everybody out of sight, when I saw them go to Ellen Road into the Lions' Den and do that to Leeds United, I had no doubt that as long as they could maintain their composure, that they would be one of the two automatically promoted. And I just felt they went there and scored three goals, and literally all through the whole season. That's the thing for me that stands out more than anything. They just have not stopped scoring. 91 goals, that's average more than 2 a game. So they've done it, for me, in a slightly unconventional way, in that you normally need to have one of the best defences in the league, like Sheffield United have the best defence in the league if you want to get automatically promoted. Norwich don't. They've conceded 56 goals, and quite ironically, the last team to concede that amount of goals and finish in the top two was actually Norwich back in 2010-11 season. So they have gone a little bit against the grain in that they haven't been rock solid defensively and keeping clean sheet after clean sheet like Sheffield United have. But it's the sheer volume of goals that they have. Suki, has been an absolute revelation, as have several of the other signings. And I think it's that recruitment side, the fact that they've brought in the kids from out of the academy, put lots of faith in them, and they've had that winning recipe all the way through the season. And they will now want to seal it with crowning it off by winning the actual title.
Yeah, Andy, now both sides, like Don mentioned, they have the chance of winning the title on Sunday. Tough away games for both in Stoke for Sheffield United and Villa for Norwich. Who stands the best chance of winning the league based on that?
I'm not sure how tough these away games will be, because I think the worry for Stoke and for Villa is that both Sheffield United and Norwich will want to win the title, to crown what has been an extraordinary season. The pressure is off them, they're already up. So the game is kind of a celebration for those teams. So I'm expecting both to win. Stoke have just been so poor this season. I just don't feel they're good enough to threaten Sheffield United and beat them. And for Villa, of course, I just wonder whether key players like Grealish and McGinn, will they play in this game? Because for Villa, winning the playoffs is more important than beating Norwich. So I'm going for both teams to win. So that means that Norwich are just going to pit Sheffield United to the title. It's a shame, really. Both teams have been so good this season. If the title could be shared by the pair of them, I think that would be fair. They've both been brilliant.
Andy's calling for a shared title. Don, who do you believe? Who do you believe winning the league means more to this season?
No, I don't think you can separate them in terms of that. I think given the positions that they've been in over the last 2 or 3 months, I think Norwich will be disappointed not to win the league. I think for Sheffield United, it would be a bonus to win the league, given where they've come from in terms of, League One 2 seasons ago, and actually, they've had to put a fantastic run together to overcome Leeds. So I think it would be a bonus for them. I'm with Hinchcliffe. I can see Norwich not losing. And I do think that, from Ellen Road last weekend, I do think that Aston Villa have 1 or 2 injury doubts as well. They will have an eye on what looks like it might be a 2-legged tie against West Bromwich Albion, a team that they haven't managed to beat this season in the 2 attempts so far. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Norwich get the point that they will need at the very least. I do see Sheffield United going to Stoke and managing to beat them.
Yeah, of course, the title isn't the only thing that's being decided in the Championship this weekend. It's also the final playoff place. You're covering a crucial match, Andy, in terms of Derby taking on West Brom. Frank Lampard's side in the driving seat at the minute for that final playoff spot. But a tough match in a way for them, this, isn't it?
It certainly is. I don't think West Bromwich Albion would be the choice for Frank Lampard for a team to play in a game that you need to win. I was at Derby the last game of the 14-15 season when Derby needed a point against Reading and they lost 3-0. The nerves really got the better of them. And I just wonder whether lightning will strike twice again, because it is about holding your nerve. But the difference this time is Derby really need to win, because obviously Bristol City in the mix, Middlesbrough as well. So needing to win, I think it focuses the mind to be positive and not play conservatively. And that really suits Derby. You look at the players that they've got, the attacking players in Lawrence, in Mount, and in Harry Wilson in particular. That should really suit them. And I've got a feeling they might need 2 or 3 goals to get the result they need, the win that they need. But of course, West Brom, the Championship's second highest scorers, excellent away from home, and they'll be at it as well, because there's a chance if Leeds slip up that they could finish third. So don't expect West Brom to go there and just lie down and be beaten.
Yeah, how do you think James Shan will treat it? Because like you say, that they could finish in that third place, and that could make a bit of a difference in terms of obviously the game they play in the final in the playoffs.
If you look at them all season long, every game, whether it's gone well or not, they've approached it in the same way, whether under Darren Moore, or James Shan. They go at it. And as I say, if Leeds do slip at Ipswich, they could finish third. They could avoid playing Villa in the semi-final, which is probably what you'd want to do with the form that Villa are in. So they do only know one way of playing, the open attacking football. That makes them very, very dangerous. And again, it should be a great game. I can't see that game, Derby-West Brom, being 0-0. Both sides are front foot teams. Derby have to win. West Brom like to go at teams as well. So I'm expecting a few goals. It's going to be nervous, but I can't see both sides just sitting behind the ball and playing boring football.
Yeah, in a way, this is sort of already a playoff match for Derby, isn't it? A must-win game with Borough and Bristol City breathing down their necks.
Yeah, I think there's the pressure of this game is similar maybe to the pressure of the playoffs. It's very much kind of like a cup final feeling, a one-off game. And if they do get through, that will be a big help. Dealing with this situation will be a big help in the playoffs themselves. But I think all 3 sides do have a great chance of finishing sixth. I think during the course of the afternoon, I'm expecting, Derby in 6th place at the moment. We've got Borough, Bristol City. I expect them all to occupy that 6th place. But actually, who will be there at 2:15 is actually really difficult to work out. Bristol City will be, of course, feeling really good. They're still in the mix after a midweek win at Millwall, so they've got momentum as well. So it's very tricky, even though Derby are at home, the other 2 are away. With who they've got to play, Bristol City and Middlesbrough, all of them have just got to go for the win, and that's what makes it really exciting. But Derby will fancy their chances because they are at home, but they've arguably got the toughest game playing West Brom, so it's not easy at all to work out which of those 3 is going to actually prevail.
Yeah, looking at who could finish in that final playoff spot, who do you believe is the team that would have the best chance of going up in the playoffs? For example, based on results, Leeds, the team who finishes 6th, Leeds will play the team who finishes 6th, and they're likely to face a much tougher test based on results against Middlesbrough this season, for example.
Yeah, I think whoever finishes kind of 6th has it tough, because they're probably going to have to play 2 of Leeds, West Brom and Villa to actually get promoted. But finishing sixth, you have that sense of momentum that maybe the moment is theirs. They've kind of snuck in a little bit late. They've not been kind of in the top six throughout the season. They kind of made it right at the death. But I think Middlesbrough, certainly in a semi-final over 2 games, will be tough to crack. They can play in very different ways. With Tony Pulis in charge, you know how tough it's going to be. So for Leeds or West Brom, if they do play Middlesbrough, that's not going to be straightforward at all. And Middlesbrough have kind of fallen off the radar a little bit. That really poor run of form they went on, people kind of disregarded them. If they do sneak in right at the death, it might be them that actually win out. I think we're looking at Villa and West Brom and Leeds as the only teams that can get promoted. But if Middlesbrough get in there, don't count them out, because Tony's certainly got the experience, a very experienced squad as well. And they will knuckle down and realise what they need to do to get to a final and get to the Premier League. So don't overlook Middlesbrough if they make it.
Sky Bet League One.
Yeah, moving on to League One now, and you, Don, you're at Southend versus Sunderland. Let's just focus on the battle to stay in the division. Technically, 6 teams could go down. Just how tight is this battle at the bottom?
Do you know what? I mean, throughout the 4 divisions, you know, including the Premier League and the 3 football EFL leagues, it's just been battle after battle after battle, both at the top and at the bottom. And I actually think of all the battles, this battle at the bottom of League One has been the most fierce. It's just been really quite remarkable. I took the liberty of having a look at the league table at the beginning of April, and whilst Bradford City looked fairly doomed, half a dozen points behind the rest, there were 4 teams on 42 points. There were 3 teams above them on 44 points. So there was literally 2 points between second bottom and seventh bottom, and that's pretty much the way it's stayed. There are 1 or 2 teams that have managed to claw their way out of that, like your Rochdale. Rochdale's have been on a brilliant run, but it has been a lot of pressure down there at the bottom of League One. Wimbledon have managed to put a run together, and focusing on Southend, they've 1 win in 17 games. I mean, that is worrying, and they've got Sunderland coming to town, who will look to go into the playoffs on a positive note. I would suspect. So, it is a very, very difficult ask for Southend, because obviously Plymouth and Scunthorpe, I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a minute, but they play each other. So somebody out of one of those 2 clubs is going to get something, and that would probably put them ahead of Southend United should Southend lose. So there's an awful lot at stake, and the battle for League One has just been absolutely crazy and relentless, and it's going to be fascinating to see who holds their nerve and who survives, who prevails.
Yeah, looking at Southend, do you think that Sunderland's disappointment of being knocked out of that automatic promotion race in midweek will benefit them?
Well, who knows? There's 2 ways to look at it, because the way things stand within that table, for me, Sunderland are going to have the hardest test. So they need to win their game to try and overhaul Portsmouth and hope that Portsmouth slip up, because I've got a sneaky feeling for Charlton. They are the ones that I look at and I go, my goodness me, if the season had just been a couple of weeks longer, that they could have actually been challenging for the automatic positions. They have been flying. I was very, very impressed when I saw them beat Portsmouth the other week. So, focusing back on Sunderland, if things stay the same, Sunderland have got a 2-legged affair against Charlton Athletic. That is going to be very, very tough. And I think you want to be going into that with a little bit of positivity about yourself. And if they lose against Southend, I don't think that's a good omen. That would mean that they've not won any of the final 4 games of the season. It's not the way you want to be going into the playoffs. So I'm sure Jack Ross will go as strong as he can within reason, and I'm sure that he will be looking to finish the regular season with a victory, and that probably will spell trouble for Southend.
I mean, Southend obviously not been in the greatest form recently, but they did take a point against Portsmouth not so long ago. Do you think they still have it in their locker to get something out of this game?
Well, with most of the games that we spoke about so far between Hinchy and myself, we've been talking about cup finals, haven't we? Well, this is a cup final, and in a cup final, literally any team can win. I mean, the Portsmouth, the 3-3 when they came back from 3-0 down was quite a remarkable game. But it's just seems such a very, very long time ago that it's hard. It'll be hard for them to be able to just focus on that fight back, that one game when they've only won the one game since then. So I just think psychologically it's a really, really big ask for Southend United. They've got to pick themselves up, and they will treat this like a cup final. And I'm pretty sure whatever the outcome, that those players will leave absolutely everything out there and make it as hard as they possibly can for Sunderland.
Like you touched on earlier, another game that is, win at all costs is Plymouth taking on Portsmouth. Both sides haven't won for so long. So where do they both draw inspiration from in this one?
Well, Plymouth play Scunthorpe, don't they? I think you said Portsmouth.
Plymouth's taking on Scunthorpe, rather. Do apologise.
No, I mean, these two teams, unfortunately, at the most important part of the season, are the league's two most out-of-form teams. Neither of them have won a game in the last 8 games. They're both skipping goals for fun. Plymouth did 5 last week against Accrington Stanley. And they're both struggling to score goals. It's a recipe for absolute disaster. This is a cup final. Plymouth have not got a great home record. Scunthorpe haven't got a great away record. They both come in really, really, really poor form. Who wants it the most on the day? Who can be galvanised? Who can treat it as a one-off game and write off the previous 9 months and what's gone before and rise to the occasion? To be honest with you, this, of all the games that we're touching on, is the one that I'm least certain about what's going to happen. I have absolutely no idea.
Sky Bet League 2.
Now turning our attention to League 2, and there's only one fixture really to focus on this week. It's an all-or-nothing game. Mansfield at MK Dons. Let's hear first of all from both managers, starting with David Flitcroft at Mansfield, and see how he's preparing for such a vital match. The winner, of course, having automatic promotion secured.
Morning, David. We're here at St George's Park ahead of the biggest game of the season for Mansfield Town. What are the reasons and the thought process behind coming here today?
I think the biggest one was the pitch size, really. MK Dons is a big pitch. I wanted the players to get used to that this week. I wanted the players to understand that. It's a phenomenal pitch and a phenomenal stadium, so it was a case of coming here to acclimatise to that, the pitch size, to get the coaching working, to get our geography right on the pitch. And but then the other factor coming to St George's is just the inspiration, the motivation. I've been here a lot on certain courses and working with professionals and watching England teams prepare for big games. And it's always inspired me. It's a place that I've brought my kids to show them. And as England get more successful, it'll become a place that, this will be the working preparation hub, for England teams to win World Cup glory. So I get inspired by it. Our players Tuesday certainly have. Honestly, mate, the details, the changing rooms, the food, the preparation, the recovery strategies afterwards, it's all there. And I think the biggest problem with Tuesday was sort of getting them off the pitch, and that was the biggest sort of issue, because they just want to stay on it, and we've been looked after really well at St George's, and I just felt it was the right preparation. I spoke to the chairman Caroline about it after the weekend, and again I've had that support and to prepare the team right and prepare the team in the best possible way, and that was a big factor.
A season of significant progress comes down to one game at MK Dons on Saturday. What is the psyche and the mood of the dressing room heading into this one?
Monday was a day of flushing the Stevenage result out, but I took full responsibility for that. I told the players, that we were chasing the game. Absolutely felt at 1-1 that the stadium got behind it. Our bench got behind it. I could feel that second goal coming. We chased it down, but it never come, and it left us exposed, and we got done on the sucker punch, So I spoke about that. I absorbed all responsibility for that. told the players, and then which allows us then to move on to this week, and what a brilliant week to look forward to. I told them after the game, it's important that we think forward, we plan forward, and we plan for a massive football game. And you can't hide from it. It's impossible. It's a huge game. It's got huge significance. It's now on to us and about us having to go there with a game plan and making that game plan successful.
On Saturday, it will be a winner-takes-all contest. Do you prepare for it like it is a cup final?
You do. Well, we have done, because we've come here and we've been able to, soak up this different training facility. We look at our processes, we look at our key performance indicators and what we've been good at this season. Whether that's the set pieces, the style of play, our intensity. Look at all the stats. And we've got to make sure that all of them are evident on Saturday, and all of them have been evident this week. When we've won, when we've had good running performances and good work performances. There's been a trend during the week of what numbers and what stats we've had to hit. So we've been looking at them and just making sure that even though we've moved to a different training site, that our stats are good and our stats are consistent with what we've done all season, because it's been a phenomenal season for this group of players, and whether they're getting in Team of the Year or whether they're getting in the PFA or the EFL Team of the Year, the boys have had that recognition and credibility, but they've had that credibility for doing the jobs and taking responsibility on a football pitch, and that's certainly going to have to be evident on Saturday. It's a bit like the game last night, Liverpool-Barcelona, where if they played well, Liverpool played well, but in crucial moments they just didn't take the opportunities, and goals do change games. They obviously change outcomes, they change mindset. A goal against can drain you, a goal for can give you that lift and stimulus that you require. So it's in big moments. It's what's going to happen in the big moments. What will happen between the 18-yard box and the 18-yard box in the middle of the pitch will play a significant part, but the real significance is in the two boxes and defending at your highest level, and then executing. If you're a striker, if you're a wide player, if you're a creative midfielder, executing in that area. And you saw in the end last night that Barcelona ended up with a convincing win. But if Liverpool do score, then it changes the whole complex of the game. So goals do change games. They change attitudes. They change mental performance. They change physical performance. So it's really important that in our high quality moments, we have them, and we're on a fantastic pitch. We're in a brilliant stadium. We could have ended up playing another League Two club that's not got them surroundings, that's not got that big game mentality to it. So it's felt that we're playing MK Dons that has got that infrastructure and has got that type of pitch, and I've got players that will thrive in that environment.
As a manager, you've been here before, haven't you, with Bury and with Barnsley at other ends of the table, conflicting ends of the table, and you've accomplished what you needed to on the last days of the season with both of those clubs. As a manager, do you look back on those days to gather and garner some sort of experience again heading into this one?
Do you know what? It's a really good question, and I think I don't put too much significance on the actual day. What I look back on now is that the journey that we all took, and I can almost remember every single week leading up to it, every loss that we had, and how we responded to that loss, and how we got ourselves back in that fixed position. The Barnsley experience, the roller coaster ride in that was quite phenomenal, but the last game both clubs could have gone down, so us and Huddersfield, Barnsley and Huddersfield could have gone down that day, and we both survived due to the Peterborough result. So that was as high as pressure as you're ever going to get. So dealing with that, you come through it, you build that into your CV, you build that into your mental your mental resolve, and that was probably the toughest day I've had on a football pitch. But like I said, the memories from that and the plays that we had, they'll be remembered from my point of view for the good, the bad, the wins, the losses. So phenomenal. And again with the Bury experience, you know, that was a phenomenal experience. I knew we'd beat Tranmere. You know, I had it all week that we'd beat Tranmere, no problem, and we did, and it was tough. They'd actually been relegated, but again, League Two, lads fighting for contracts, fighting for their own survival, fighting for their families. Give us a really tough game. Won 1-0. Then we had to wait for the score. Southend, I think they did won something like 13 in the last 15 games in phenomenal form, and again going to Morecambe, up at Morecambe, and Morecambe beat them 3-1. So, and we had to rely on that result, you see. So, but looking at that season, it was a phenomenal season. I remember getting beat 5-0 off of Shrewsbury, who ended up going up, and it was a light bulb moment because it was just through the January window, and I brought 5 players in, and I absolutely reshaped, rethought everything we'd done up to that point, and we had a different outlook on the second part of the season. So it's the experience that you get, Steve-O, that is the crucial thing for me. I've had 2 outstanding experiences as a manager that's been 5-year-old. You know, so that's something that in a short career, you know, I've had 2 almost insane experiences, and this is the 3rd. So that'll stand me in good stead. It's helped me with the build up this week, certainly prepare the team, and I've spoke to a lot of good people this week who you know, who also support me and support you know, my journey personally, and they've been brilliant this week for me.
David Flitcroft speaking there. Of course, as I should have mentioned earlier, his Mansfield side only require a point to ensure that they're automatically promoted. That's not the case for the MK Dons. They must win this match to ensure that automatic promotion back into League One. Here's manager Paul Tisdale ahead of the match.
Paul, 1 goal, 1 aim, but crucially, it's in your hands.
It is. It's in our hands. It's in the hands of the opposition for them as well. You know, so it's an unusual situation. It doesn't happen every year, this type of game. So you know, it's game on, isn't it? And it's a whole season will come down to this game. We just have to make sure that we put our best game out and do our very, very best. You can't guarantee anything, but we need to make sure that we do our very, very best on the day.
Is the knowledge that victory is the only result that's there, does that make it a little bit easier? Not saying that any side would ever go out for a draw if that was possible for you, but knowing you've got one job to do to win the game.
Yeah, these things have an impact on the preparation, maybe on the psyche. In hindsight, we'll look back and say, yeah, it was a really good thing, or we will look back and say it made no difference. Who knows? I mean, you know, you can easily look back on things. As it stands at the moment, we do know we have to win. Yeah, we're going to have to score a goal at least, aren't we? So by default, you know, whatever happens, we need to score at least 1 goal. But there's different ways of going about it. You know, we still got to be shrewd. We still have to be considered in our approach. But it is what it is. We've got to win.
You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's part of the job to continually balance your emotions. As a manager, you also direct and influence your team, and I have to constantly try to get the right balance. And you know, the wider view. Here we are after 45 games. The club was relegated last year. We're in a really, really healthy position, a chance of winning to go up this week. If we're not winning the playoffs, the wider view is this has been, you know, a really, really progressive year. I'm very proud of what we've done. I'm certainly not going into the game on Saturday, you know, comfortable with life. You know, we want to achieve, but you know, it's been a really good year, and all the stress, all the excitement, it's all high quality emotion. You know, we're ready to go. We've had our fair share of disappointments, of ups and downs, hitting the post, hitting the crossbar, goals disallowed, but we've also had our fair share of things go our way as well over the last few weeks. So it is what it is. It's going to be a fabulous afternoon, What a great way to finish the season here at Stadium MK. I mean, we have to be considered about, what if we don't win? But at the moment, there's one game in front of us. The club hasn't had the best of fortunes over the last couple of years, and here we are with an opportunity to finish third in the league. So let's go for it.
You said after the game on Saturday, it's all about the next 7 days and building up to Saturday's game against Mansfield. How have the last 5 days with regards to preparation? Has it been different or pretty much the same as you would prepare for any game?
The structure of the week has been very similar, but the emotions are different. So there's no point in pretending any different. But we still have the same nuisances and the same obstacles, players, injuries, missing the odd days of training. Are they going to be fit for Saturday? Some are trying to get back. Some are maybe need a bit of confidence. Some are trying to practice on certain aspects of the game. It's the same type of week, other than we know the importance, the significance of the weekend, and you can't hide from that. We put too much work in just to pretend it's not happening. But it's all fine as long as we have a clear mind. Players can play to their maximum. That's really what I need to try to achieve. I can't predict the game in its entirety, but we need, as a management team, as a coaching group, to try to get our players at their best, free and dynamic, and giving it a go.
Your chairman, Pete Winkleman, has been very complimentary, said some very nice words about you during the week, about your impact here at the football club and the effect that it's had on him and his enjoyment of the game, and put a smile back on his face as far as watching MK Dons. I would imagine that's a huge boost, isn't it, to hear that from Pete going into this game?
Yeah, that's nice of you to say. I hadn't heard those comments, so it's nice of you to say so. It's the whole mood of a place can be affected by results. I suppose the art of it is to concentrate on the product, the results, and then the mood will follow. So hopefully I've played my part this year. We came in with a bit of a pickle at the start. We've settled into becoming, I think, a hard-working, determined, well-organised team. It's a good platform for what will happen next, whatever will happen next over the next 6 months, year, whatever it will be, a couple of years. I think there's a lot more progress in this team. I'm really pleased that Peter thinks it's gone well so far. It's always nice when the owner is happy and healthy. And football does affect you. Football affects the local community. It affects the psyche of a place, and it's really great news that I'm being told that we're going to sell a lot of tickets for this game. There's going to be a lot of people at the game after the disappointments and the misery of the last couple of years, maybe the relegations. I'm just really pleased that we've all contributed to a big day. I mean, we don't know what the score's going to be. I'm certainly not complacent enough to think it's just all going to fall into place, but we have got ourselves into a position where a lot of people come into the game. It's excitement. We're looking forward to it. There'll be a big crowd, and what a game to have here at Stadium MK to finish the season.
You're reading my notes because it's my next question about the crowd and the impact, and just explain, if you can, a big crowd, very vociferous, getting behind the players. Are they a 12 men? Does it make that much of a difference? Does it help you and those players?
Well, the answer is yes. Sometimes it's rather intangible to actually describe how, but you'd rather play with your supporters behind you than someone else's. It's in the right way if those supporters support your team and don't angle their energy into the opposition, but actually support your team. It makes a heck of a difference. And I would say my comment so far at the end of my first season here is the supporters have been exceptional in their behaviour and the way they've gone about things, how they've supported the players. Even with disappointments, they've been really sensible and supportive of everything we've done. I see no reason why it won't change this week. And if we normally have 7,000 or 8,000 of our people watching us, won't it be great if there's 15 or 16? So more the better. They've been really proper all year, and I hope that we can give them some real enjoyment this week after what's been a long year, home and away. the tendencies have been strong this year, despite the relegation last year. So well done to all those people at the club here who have encouraged and promoted MK Dons despite the relegation, and all those people that have supported the club and come to games, because the attendance has been great. On the road they've been fabulous. They've supported us all the way, and what a big day, what a big event we've got here, and hopefully they can really enjoy it.
What would promotion mean to you personally, Paul?
I feel a bit uncomfortable answering that question because you haven't got it.
Okay.
It's just not part of what I do, and it's just ask me that question again if it's next week, if it's in 4 weeks, if it's in a year. Ask me again. We haven't got it yet, and I can't allow myself to think that way.
Andy, so promotion in both Paul Tisdale and David Flitcroft's hands here. What is it like going into a game like this with so much riding on it?
Well, it's extraordinary for the clubs, for the coaches, for the players. But in terms of the coaches, this is the time to be truly professional. Prepare as thoroughly as you can. We've heard from David Flitcroft what he's decided to do to try and get his team focused but calm, and that's the job really for the coach, to keep the players kind of on an even keel. But for players, you kind of fall into two camps. One who can't wait for the game, they visualise being the hero. The other camp kind of dread it, and I was definitely in the latter group when I played in games like this. I just didn't want to make the mistake that would cost the team. But it's the waiting that is the hardest part. You just want the game to come around to and get on with it. It's been probably a really long week for these players, and the coaches have had to work really hard to kind of get through the last few days. I bet they've not had too much sleep either. But it's just that nervous excitement. But again, it's about the focus and the concentration on the day, because emotions come into play and things can very quickly go wrong if you don't concentrate on your job. But it's easier said than done. Just handle the situation. It's not that straightforward.
Yeah, Don, a big crowd expected at Stadium MK as well. This is essentially a playoff final, isn't it?
Oh, good grief, yeah. I mean, it is remarkable how this fixture came out of the fixture computer. I mean, I think we were previewing games probably 6 or 8 weeks ago, and we noticed that this was the final game of the season for both of these two teams, and we just wondered how much would be at stake. Well, now we know. A whole season, everything is at stake, and they both sound very, very calm in their interviews, which is going to be good for the players to see their managers acting very, very calmly. They're making their plans about how they're going to get what they need out of this game. I mean, unfortunately for both, again, they haven't managed to finish the season off as strongly as they would like. I mean, if the season had started 8 games ago, I think Mansfield would be in 9th and MK Dons would be in 10th. They've got identical records of 1-3, drawn 2, lost 3. So neither of them are in scintillating form, and that's why you view this like a cup final, like a one-off game where form goes out of the window. And it's another one of those that I'd probably like to sit on the fence for, but if you ask any manager who's gunning for automatic promotion, if you can have a home game that you've got to win on the final game of the season, I think most managers would say that will do for me. And I think that probably just, and I say this very, very reluctantly, might give MK Dons a fraction of an advantage.
Yeah, Andy, from listening to the preparation that David Flitcroft's team are going through, it sounds like he's leaving no stone unturned in this one. Just how important is that preparation going into games like this?
Well, it's absolutely everything, and it's really interesting to hear David talk about, going to St George's Park and about the MK Dons pitch and trying to kind of replicate that to get his players used to what kind of the size of the pitch they're going to be playing on. But he's doing all this because he wants the players to work on kind of instinct as much as possible, and that comes from the preparation maybe they've had all season, and then most importantly in the days leading up to the game, because when that game kicks off, emotions obviously you're going to run high, and players can, you lose focus, you forget the game plan when your heart is going 10 to the dozen. So it's the team that remembers the coach's plan and who can play with their head and their heart that usually wins the day. So that's why the coaches, like I said, it's really important. The coaches work very hard to keep their players focused and calm. Whether they change things a little bit is really interesting, just to give the players maybe a bit of inspiration. But it'll all, whether it's good or bad, whether it's worked or not, will come out when that game is finished. But it's a wonderful game to win, but it's a horrendous if you don't. So it's all about the result at the end of the day.
Yeah, Don, Mansfield required just a point. I mean, you touched on this earlier, but MK Dons need to win. Paul Tisdale touched on it as well, but does that in a way benefit his team because they have no choice but to go for it?
Yeah, but they need to do it in a considered fashion. You can't go from the first minute all guns blazing, leave yourself open to a Mansfield counter-attack, for instance. So you've got to be clever about how you manage the game. I think obviously if there are 10 or 15 minutes left within the game and the scores are level, then I think the shackles are completely off. He'll throw extra strikers on, I'm sure. He'll send his goalkeeper up for any sort of corner or free kick that he might be able to nick a goal from. But I think that will be reserved. That gung-ho approach will be reserved for the latter stages of the game. So, you know, I guess really it gives them a clear focus knowing that they need to win the game. And again, like MK Dons will really, really go for it if the clock ticks round to sort of 75, 80 minutes and they're all square. Mansfield, you would imagine, might just get deeper and deeper and just try and hold on to what they've got, which again can be not the right thing to do if you're a naturally attacking-minded team, which they are. So there are so many fascinating outcomes. The game is going to be fascinating, and like I say, I really, really find it very, very difficult to separate these two, as we've found it all season long.
Yeah, Andy, Don sort of mentioned it earlier, but MK Dons are playing at home. Mansfield only need a point. Whose position would you rather be in?
Definitely playing at home, in need of a win. For two reasons. Obviously, it's not just it's the size of the crowd at the MK Dons stadium as well. There's going to be a huge crowd there. So you've got that crowd really on your side. Sometimes a home crowd, big home crowd, if things aren't going so well, can count against you. But in this game, they're clearly going to drive the team forward. So you've got a big crowd behind you, and you have to be positive because you need to win. And sometimes when you only need a draw, I've been in games where you've only needed a point, and it does change your approach. You do play conservatively, you play sideways and backwards rather than forwards, and that can bring problems because clearly it's not your natural game. So I know most people would say, well, I'd rather be in Mansfield position because, you know, we only need a point, the opposition need 3, but home advantage and with a big crowd cheering them on, I've got a feeling MK Dons could do it.
Yeah, Don, finally from you, like we said, such a big game. Andy's just called it as an MK Dons win. How do you call it?
Well, I think I hinted at that earlier on a few moments ago, didn't I, when I said if you ask a manager if he can have a home game that he's got to win in the final game of the season to be automatically promoted, then they'd snatch your hand off, really. So that was the way I was looking at it. So I will very, very tentatively favour MK Dons, but just a note of optimism for those Mansfield Town fans that are listening. MK Dons have only managed to win one of their last 4 home games, and that was against already relegated Yeovil. So there is hope. There is hope for both teams.
Yes, such a massive game. That one maybe perhaps the biggest match in the EFL this weekend. So many, of course, to choose from. Don, Andy, thank you very much for your time this week. That's it from us. Join us again next time. Bye-bye.
The official EFL Podcast. The best reaction to all